What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected directors sits down for what should be a routine interview only to face an ambush that exposes the toxic side of daytime television? Ron Howard, the man behind legendary films like Apollo 13, A Beautiful Mind, and Rush, thought he was going on The View to talk about his latest movie. Instead, he found himself trapped in a verbal battle with Joy Behar, whose relentless attacks and sharp logic tested even the most patient filmmaker to his limits. This is the story of how a beloved director's calm broke live on national television and why millions of viewers witnessed one of the most uncomfortable moments in talk show history. Before we begin, make sure to hit that subscribe button and share your thoughts in the comments about ambush interviews on media platforms. The green room at ABC Studios was buzzing with the usual pre-show energy. Ron Howard adjusted his tie and reviewed the notes his publicist had prepared. The interview was meant to focus on his new film, a heartfelt drama about small-town America that was already attracting Oscar buzz. He had done countless interviews throughout his decades-long career, from his time as a P-tailer to directing some of Hollywood's biggest blockbusters. The View should have been easy. Mr. Howard, we're ready for you, a production assistant called, clipboard in hand. Ron followed her through the maze of hallways, past framed photos of celebrity guests and memorable moments from the show's long history. He could hear the audience applauding as the hosts took their seats at the familiar semicircular table. Whoopi Goldberg's voice boomed through the speakers as she introduced the segment. Our next guest needs no introduction. He's been entertaining us for over 50 years, first as an actor and now as one of Hollywood's most successful directors. Please welcome Ron Howard. The audience erupted as Ron walked onto the set, his trademark warm smile lighting up his face. He waved to the crowd, shook hands with each host, and settled into the guest chair. The studio lights felt hotter than usual, but he chalked it up to nerves about promoting a film he cared deeply about. Ron, thank you so much for being here, Whoopi began, her tone genuinely welcoming. I have to say, I've been a fan since the Andy Griffith Show days. Thank you, Whoopi. Those were magical times, and I feel incredibly lucky to have grown up in front of America's eyes, Ron replied, his voice carrying that familiar Midwestern sincerity that had won over millions. Sarah Haynes leaned forward, her expression engaged. Your new film touches on themes of community and resilience. What drew you to this story? Ron's eyes lit up as he began sharing his passion for the project. You know, Sarah, in today's divided world, I think we've forgotten how much we share in common. This story reminded me of the America I grew up in, where neighbors looked out for each other, no matter their beliefs or backgrounds. That's when Joy Behar decided to strike. That's interesting, Ron, Joy interrupted sharply, drawing the other host's attention. You talk about the America you grew up in like it was perfect. But wasn't that the same America that was segregated, where women couldn't open bank accounts, and where anyone who wasn't straight, white, and Christian was treated as second class? The studios seemed to drop 10 degrees in temperature. Ron blinked, clearly surprised by the sudden attack. Well, Joy, I certainly don't want to idealize the past. Every era has its challenges, and we've made real progress as a society. Progress that people like you fought for every step of the way, he said. Joy's voice rose slightly. Let's be honest about what you're really saying. When you talk about the good old days, you mean a time when people like you had all the power and everyone else knew their place. The audience shifted uncomfortably. This was no longer the friendly chat they expected. Ron's publicist in the wings looked like she might faint. I think there's been a misunderstanding, Ron said, calm but with a hint of confusion. I was simply talking about the sense of community and neighbors helping each other. That has nothing to do with politics or social hierarchies. Joy leaned back, smirking. Everything is political, Ron, especially when someone with your platform talks about the past. You can't separate art from politics or nostalgia from the reality of who was suffering while you had a perfect childhood. Sunonni host tried to intervene, sensing the conversation was spiraling. Joy, I think Ron is just trying to talk about his film. No, let him answer, Joy snapped. her focus sharp. I want to know if Ron Howard thinks the civil rights movement was just people complaining about the good old days he's so fond of. Ron's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Years of media training had taught him to stay composed, but this was unlike anything he'd experienced. The question was unfair and deliberately inflammatory. Joy, with all due respect, you're putting words in my mouth I never said. I've always supported civil rights, women's rights, and equality. My films have promoted inclusion and understanding, Ron said. Have they, though? Joy pressed, clearly enjoying the director's discomfort. Or have they just been feel-good stories for white audiences, without really challenging anything? The other hosts exchanged uneasy glances. Even Whoopi, known for her direct questions, seemed surprised at Joy's attack. Ron inhaled deeply, trying to steer the conversation back. If you look at my work, from A Beautiful Mind to 13 Lives, you'll see stories about human resilience and the power of coming together. These are not political messages. They are human messages. Human messages, Joy repeated with disdain. That's code for not rocking the boat. That's privilege, Ron. You get to make movies about humanity while real people are fighting for basic rights. The audience went silent. Ron's hands gripped the arms of his chair tighter. His famous patience was fraying. Joy, I'm not sure what you're trying to do here. You seem determined to paint me as a villain for making films that bring people together. That's not privilege, that's experience, Ron said firmly. Experience? You mean growing up white in Hollywood? Joy challenged. I started working when I was 6 years old, Ron replied. I've been in this industry for over 50 years, hiring diverse crews and telling inclusive stories more than most directors of my generation. Most directors of your generation, Joy mocked. Do you hear yourself? You're setting the bar low, Ron. Whoopi intervened. Joy, maybe we should focus on the film. No, this conversation is overdue, Joy shot back. Hollywood congratulates itself for tiny improvements while ignoring systemic problems. Ron Howard is the poster child for that. Ron's knuckles whitened. What exactly do you want me to say? That I'm sorry for having a successful career? That I should apologize for telling stories that connect with audiences? I want you to acknowledge reality, Joy said. Admit your success came at the expense of countless talented people who never had the chance because they didn't look like you or have connections. That's incredibly unfair. Ron's voice rose for the first time. I've worked hard every day, treated everyone with respect, and tried to tell meaningful stories. Joy laughed sharply. Worked hard? You went from child actor to director without proving yourself the way a woman or a person of color would. You call that hard work? Sarah Haynes looked like she wanted to disappear. Sunonni host stared at her notes, uncomfortable. I proved myself every day, Ron said tightly. Every film had to succeed on its own. Nobody handed me anything after I turned 18. Right? Joy said sarcastically. Hollywood is so fair. Tell me, how many female directors did you recommend? How many people of color did you mentor? I've mentored dozens, Ron said. How many? Give numbers. Give names. If you're not part of the problem, show it, Joy demanded. Ron's face flushed. I don't have to justify my career to you. This is about my film, not a trial. It's always a trial when you've benefited from an unfair system, Joy said. I never pretended otherwise, Ron said, strained. But I refuse to apologize for working hard and succeeding. If you have a problem with the industry, take it up with the industry, not individual artists. You are the industry, Ron. You decide what stories get told and by whom. Whose small-town America are you talking about? I'm talking about universal human experiences, Ron said defensively. Universal, Joy repeated. That means whatever white people relate to. True universal includes everyone, not just a sanitized version for suburban audiences. You're twisting my words. I've made films about gay mathematicians, black jazz musicians, and working-class heroes, Ron argued. You made those stories for white audiences, Joy shot back. There's a difference between representation and exploitation. Who profits? Who decides how the story is told? The audience was silent, watching a beloved celebrity being attacked on live TV. Ron Howard, spotless for 5 decades, was being framed as the symbol of Hollywood's failings. "I profit because I'm the director," Ron said, patience cracking. "But so do actors, crews, everyone involved. That's how the business works." "The business, not art or responsibility," Joy sneered. "Joy, what do you want from me? Should I stop making movies? Give away all my money?" "I want honesty," Joy said. "Admit your career was built on a system that favors people like you. Stop pretending feel-good movies are a public service. My films entertain millions and provide jobs for thousands," Ron said, voice shaking slightly. "If that's not public service, what is?" Joy shot back, slamming the table. "Not enough anymore," she said. "Not when people are dying, democracy is under attack, basic rights stripped. Your comfort food movies let people ignore reality." Whoopi tried again. "Maybe we could focus on the film now." "No point," Ron said. "This was never about the film. It was about Joy proving she's morally superior." "Congratulations, you ambushed a guest who came in good faith. Was it worth it?" Joy's voice cracked. "Run away, that's what privileged people do when confronted with reality." Ron stopped, turned to her. "The reality is, I've spent 50 a broken bar.